Hopefully it's working. If not, you'll have to bring me back just for the two people. No, I just don't want to show what I'm using yet. It's secret. Yeah. Okay. This is going to be fun. This is fun. I'm glad to be back here. I don't know how many of you are glad that I'm back here, but it's fun to be back. How's it been since last we saw you? Yes, having an enjoyable class? Yeah, great. Great. I think although maybe not. Sorry. Seth, were you here when I was here last time? You were. Okay. Did you grow a beard since then? Okay, that's what it is. That's what it is. I knew there was. Doesn't take me long to identify the change. Yeah. Okay, great. So we learned about interviewing and team last month. Is that right? And building a wall around your team. That's fun. Anything else that you've learned about since last we spoke? Oh, DISC personalities. I think I was supposed to come for that. I think that's the one where I canceled on Barb. Sorry. The other job. The other job. Yeah. Had a meeting with the CEO and all. It's hard to say no to them. I still do feel like I owe you something. I know. Seriously, maybe at break I got to run over. Do you like jalapeno poppers? You do? They have them at Sonic. They're. Yeah. I don't have any. No. Okay. Fingers are okay. Okay. All right. I know. Yeah. Is that why you were suddenly your pinched nerve came into effect when you came around the corner and saw me? I wish that was the reason. Okay. All right. Yeah, we were talking earlier. Here's the thing. That was a great idea. I should use it again. I just executed it so poorly. Yeah. We'll work on it. We'll work on it. Brian and Jackie, you guys, welcome. Welcome. You guys are going to be teaching courses in this course in the future? Oh, Jackie's next month. Have you taught in here before? Okay. Okay, so Jackie's in next month. That's fun. And Brian in December. Okay. All right. Oh. Well, everybody's got their weakness. You were here before? No. Oh, okay. Okay. I don't know. It's hard to remember all these things. Okay. Well, this is good. Today we're going to talk about leadership and team building and some critical elements to that. We'll start off with a fun little video. These are kind of fun. YouTube. And we'll watch and see. Brian, do you mind maybe one of those does the front here? There we go. Okay. Some concepts. As you watch this, think about, they're just fun, and so we're not going to we won't have a deep debrief on this, but maybe if there's something you can pick up from. This one's not as good. We'll skip that one. Okay. Yeah. Whoever came up with the minions, like that was a genius stroke. Okay. Brian, you can turn that back on. Anything immediately stand out to you of team building, collaboration, leadership? It does take a team often, right? Yes. Oh my goodness. Anything, Vicki, that you try to do by yourself that just doesn't go as well when you're just all alone? Yeah. But two people can? Or how many? Please tell me there's more than two people for payroll for all of Winco. Yeah. Oh, okay. Really? That still seems like a small number. Yeah, okay. Yeah. Mm. Never be sick. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Mm. Oh, that's fun. Okay. Yeah. Because what obstacle do you currently face that you're trying to overcome by having I mean, what was the problem the team is hoping to solve? We'll get past change management. Mm. Yeah. Okay. Mm. Huh. Yeah. 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 Okay. That's an interesting challenge. Anybody else face that challenge in teams? Like, I'm doing an unfair share of the work. Yeah. You face that a lot. Because usually when they're doing an unfair share of the work, what are they hoping for? Yeah, pay increase. Recognition in the form of pay increase. Yeah. Yeah, so people are it's interesting because people are then motivated to prove that they're doing more than other people on the team, right? Because if I can prove I'm doing more than other people on the team, then I have a basis for demanding pay increase. If I'm seen as doing equal or the same, or in fact, that's the challenge of teamwork is if other people start excelling, and my role in that has been to help lift them, is my role of helping to lift them going to be seen, noticed, and rewarded, right? Or am I better off if I'm right? Like it's in basketball, it's like the Kyrie Irving effect. If any of you pay attention to the NBA, right? He's on a team with like. How could you possibly be unhappy playing on a team with LeBron James? You're winning all the time, right? But he felt as though maybe his contribution was not seen, acknowledged, and he didn't want to be the second player on the Cavs anymore. He wanted to be the first player on a team. So demands a trade, and off he goes, right? So, but still, the likelihood of the Celtics beating the Cavs is not great. I mean, you know. Plus, as a Jazz fan, I'm hoping for that because now we hate Gordon Hayward because he changed clothes. Um, anyway, that's a small diversion. But yeah, it's how do we make that work? Yeah, we'll talk a little bit about that today. That's good. That's good. Anything else that you may have actually gotten from those cute little Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Great. Great. And I liked in the first two the identification and rallying of resources, right? And the second one, there was always the detractor. You may have those people in your organization, right? Who's the guy standing on the side laughing at the rest of you trying to get something done. Uh, that person's always fun. You could be helping. Yeah, yeah, James. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, okay. And what do how do we address that? And we'll talk a bit about that. Yeah, tilt the iceberg and force them to participate. Yeah. Or stick their head in a light socket. Either way, both options. Okay, good, good. All right. So let's dive in. We're going to use these fun little booklets that you have there. First thing is, if you'll turn to the back of, oh wow, she printed out the, oh no, she didn't. Okay. If you turn to the back of the first page, there's some blank space there. Um, Blank space for you to write your name. That's just no, no. I'm just kidding. Uh, Taylor Swift. Blank space. I'll write your name. Uh, that's funny. That's funny. Thank you, Wendy. Appreciate it. Yeah. Uh, uh, Not a Taylor Swift fan, James? Are you aware of who she is? Are you aware of who she is? Okay, good. Okay. Do you, is there a type of music you like better? Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Good. That's quite a long list. What and what genre of music is your favorite? Okay. Other than good. Everything other than pop. Got it. Okay. So here's what I want you to do. I do want you to write some things down on this blank space here. What I'd like you to write down is start thinking about then a leader, um, a, uh, whether they had positional authority or just influence authority, somebody who has been a leader and an influence in your life. Start jotting down a few of the characteristics, a few of the attributes, a few of the skills and abilities that that person had that made them successful in that role. When we think about leadership, what are the skills, the attributes, some of the personality traits, some of the things that they did? Oh, yes, yes. Anyone that you see as having been successful in that role of being a leader? It's a stretch, James, but I'll try to make my next music reference more of a country. Classic rock? Okay. Wow. Hate to say this, but you seem like the minion in the corner with the light bulb. So far, I have, yeah. Yeah, I like all music, but not pop or country or. What's that? Okay. All right. Don't know what that is yet. start us off then? Write one or two up there. Anybody else want to volunteer? Come write one or two of your pieces. John, thanks. Boom. Here you go. Dustin, thank you. Boom. All right. And then you get to toss your marker to one other person who will then have the privilege. Don't pick Lola. If she yeah, you better have a long list, because if she takes yours, then you got to go to alternates on your list. All right, Lola, you just start us off the conversation. What are some of the things you wrote down on your list? Okay, great, great, awesome. Seth, anything that on your list that Lola didn't already cover there? Okay. And is this somebody in particular that you're thinking of? Okay. So talk to us a little bit when they related with many, many people. Anything in particular they did to pull that off? Like, how was that expressed? How was that done? If I said, I want to do a better job of relating with other people, what would I start doing? Based on what you saw this person do. Yeah. Huh. Huh. Yeah, okay. Which is interesting, because then our third one down there, John, did you write that? Continues to learn? That's it, right? I mean, those two may be aligned. We'll talk about that a little bit. John, what were you thinking when you wrote that? Probably not the same thing as what I would just... Mm-hmm. Okay. Oh, good. Yeah. Lola's favorite. Good. Okay. Great. Yes. We can't lead an organization higher than our own personal leadership lid, is what the John Maxwell Law of the Lid says. Whatever our leadership lid is, that's the height of the organization's capacity. And it's interesting, there's a new, is it just on Netflix, or maybe it was everywhere? Once we do, we can keep going, or we can stop. If you have others you'd like to add, good. Otherwise, second round can leave their marker. Called The Founder. Anyway, it's about McDonald's, and I mean the guys who founded McDonald's are not the guys who took McDonald's to what it is, right? They sold it for what back then was like good money, but it was like $100,000 or something to Ray Kroc, who then, right, he had a higher leadership lid than the McDonald's brothers had, and greater vision, and so he was able to take it further. So yeah, we continue, which is, yeah. Vicky, good job. Oh, respect. Okay. RESPCT. Is that better? Did we hit? Aretha? No! I'm not going to stop trying. Not going to stop trying. Where's my third marker? Where did that one go? Oh, okay. Curtis, thank you. Okay, good. We're going to, persuasive, outgoing, does everything with intent. Love that. Challenges all of their employees. Open door policy. Let me learn from my mistakes. That's good. Allows team to succeed with no micromanaging. Ask good questions. Delegate. Communicate. That's a good one. Works with team in the trenches. That's good. That's similar. Lola, you said that works alongside you. Good leaders do that. Which is a challenge for a leader, right? Like, that's hard sometimes, because a lot of times It's not that you don't sometimes you don't want to get down into the trenches. Other times it's like, by the time you even think about getting down into the trenches, it's like 4:45 p.m. on a Friday, right? And you're like, oh, where did this week go? In all of the admin, or is that when you start, some of you start working at 4:45 p.m. on a Friday? Yeah, right? But like all of the admin stuff, and you got to do this thing over here and go to that boring meeting and meet with HR to whatever. Brian, can you do me another favor? Push the cooler button as many times as possible. Is anybody else hot? You even took your coat off. Clear indication it's warm. Oh, we just hit the comfort level? Okay. That's the sweet sound of joy. Air conditioning. Sorry. That's why you brought your coats? Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, good. Now, here's what I'd like you to do then. On this same piece of paper, I want you to write your own personal definition. What will successful leadership look like for you? You will know you've kind of gotten there. When? You're not going to share this with anybody. This is just your personal definition of success in the realm of leadership. Luckily, I think the bottom temperature marking is about 58, so that's about where we're headed. What's it look like? About 10 more seconds. Okay, so what that starts us with is on page 6. Let's dive into understanding this, right? Leadership and team building. REAL, you may have seen that there. What's that, an acronym? The first key then to building teams and to effective leadership is relationships. Leadership is influence, and it's hard to influence a person if you don't have a relationship with that person. Oftentimes, because of a lack of relationship, leaders try to use alternate methods of leadership tactics, right? Coercion and positional authority and parenting, which is a lot of because I told you so stuff. But maybe there's not enough time. Is that the problem? That there's not enough time to explain to the children why doing a certain thing is a very poor idea? Or I'm still trying to figure that out. But luckily, I have 6 opportunities to mess up before I can get it right with the last one. But success is knowing my purpose. That's why I started with your definition of success. If that first blank there on page 6, success is knowing my purpose. That having and understanding that definition of what does success look like for you, right? How will you know when you've gotten there? That's one of the first questions that I ask people when we're working on kind of their personal growth plan is okay, how will you know when you've gotten there? So success is knowing my purpose. And then number 2, it's growing to my maximum potential. Once I know where I want to get to, most times I'm not there yet. And that's just perfectly fine. Recently, my son came home from school singing some song that I guess Sesame Street made possible. It's kind of fun. You might actually use it in an upcoming team meeting. It's called The Power of Yet, Y-E-T, The Power of Yet. And so he was singing that, and I said, tell me what you mean by that. And he said, well, oh, sorry. I know. It suddenly, I was just like, now we're comfortable. Oh, it is. He said, the power of yet is, he said, well, we learned about this in school, that I can't do a backflip yet. My older son can. He's one of the, it's crazy. I don't know where he got the ability from or how he even learned he could do it, but he can just stand there and then just and backflip. I can't even, never could. Although it was funny, one time he tried it. We were on vacation and we were walking through a parking lot, and my younger son said to the older son, do a backflip. So he did, whoosh, except he either overturned or didn't quite turn far enough, and he landed kind of going forward and then went down, like face first down, and stood up and just blood just so for the rest of vacation he had this huge gash down his nose. I'm like, just learned a valuable lesson. Rest of the backflips he did that vacation were on the beach. But he said, I can't do a backflip yet, but I will, right? And so that's what his teacher was teaching him. It's the same thing here, right? We're growing to our maximum potential. Once we identify and know where we want to go and we work towards growing, the second thing is sowing. Last try. Sowing the seeds. I know. Yes. Oh my gosh, that's a song. Sowing the seeds? Sowing the seeds. The birds and the bees. No? Tears for Fears? Unbelievable. All right, give me a band. Give me one band. Is there a band you actually like? Just give me one. Oh, that's okay. Now I got to Google search them. I got to do my Amazon Music search. Okay. You ponder on it. Ponder on it. Give me a good song. I did this once when I was teaching high school. I was like, okay, give me at least 5 decent rap songs. Right? Because I was like, if I should maybe explore rap, right? So tell me 5 good ones. And they did, and a couple of them I actually liked. Although I told them, I was like, no swear words, no talking about killing people. And they're like, oh, well, you've just eliminated 97% of the genre. Okay. But we sow seeds that benefit others, right? That's the process that we're going to try to go through as we build relationships. We build relationships as we know where we're going. We're growing towards that, and then we're sowing those seeds to help others along their journey. That's how we really start building relationships. That's your big R word. Success is 87% people knowledge and 13% product knowledge, according to some Stanford research, right? It's more about the relationships. Leadership is so much more about the interaction. As you look at this, right, so much of this is our interaction with other people. 87 and 13. 87 and 13. Relationships, sorry. R is relationships. Too fast. So, if we want to then build relationships, this next concept is kind of fun. Some people add to our lives. You know these people. Every time you're around them, there seems to be this addition to your life. Other people, and this is on page 7, some people subtract from our lives. The key, yeah, the gray cloud people. There's 2 types of people, those who brighten every room they enter and those who brighten every room they leave. Right? Are there those people, right? They leave and you're like, oh, thank heavens they're gone. The key is to try to be the first and not the second, right? That people are happy when you come around. I've had bosses, even bosses, it was strange, who every time they walked into a meeting, it was like, oh, I'm so glad he's here. Oh, thank you. Because every time he walked into a meeting, things got better, right? And then I have other bosses that it's like you just hope that every time the phone buzzes, you're like, please let that be an emergency. We text people, please text him and tell him there's an emergency. He'd leave. Yes, so that you have to start identifying who are those people that add to the organization, who are those people that subtract. Where are areas where you're adding, and maybe where are areas that you're subtracting? What are team dynamics that are adding value, and are there team dynamics that are subtracting value? And then some people multiply our lives, and some people divide our lives. We live in an interesting time, right? Division is a word that I hear a lot on the news, that there's this belief that there's these two great opposing forces, and it's as though we're continually trying to create greater and greater division somehow within the news and politics and things like that. So this is what we're trying to understand then. In the relationship rules, how do we become more of an adder and a multiplier than a subtractor and a divider? So there's some rules we can follow. And the first rule is, the only relationship in your life that is continual and therefore most important is with yourself. The first person you learn to get along with is you. Yeah, yourself. Which is tough, right? Because, like, I know every bad thing there is about me. So sometimes, like, the most challenging person to like is me. Other people seem to like themselves a whole heck of a lot, but, right? This is a challenge. And the first person we have to lead is ourselves. The hardest person to lead is yourself oftentimes, because you have all of the excuses that you know you will accept, right? Right? Like, you know exactly what to say to yourself to get yourself to not do the thing that you think you should be doing, right? And then you can believe yourself and accept that excuse. Have you ever noticed that with yourself? Like, you can excuse yourself out. If somebody else gave you that excuse, you'd be like, no, seriously, that's a terrible excuse. You give that same excuse to yourself and, oh, yeah, that makes perfect sense. I can see why you would sleep in that instance, right? So this is a challenge, and everybody's at a different place, right? Everybody has a different self-image, but it is something that's important to be aware of and cognizant of, is our own self-talk. And we don't have time today. There's all sorts of, I'm listening to a book right now, finally. It's really old. Don't Sweat the Small Stuff, and It's All Small Stuff. Have you heard of this book? It's a fun little book. Much different than I thought it would be. I got it on Audible. If I were to recommend it, I would say buy it, because it's a bunch of just little short snippet things. But one of the first things that you learn about in leadership, you learn about it in personal development, you learn about it in, like, sports, you learn about it in business, everywhere. The first thing we have to control is our own personal thought process, our own personal speak, the things we tell ourselves about ourselves. So that's a fun challenge for you, is to just start monitoring the things you tell yourself about yourself. And that power of yet is an important principle there. If you're down on yourself because you can't do something, is that because you've convinced yourself that you can't do this and there's no hope for you? Or have you convinced yourself that you can't do that thing quite yet, but you're going to give yourself grace to say, I'm still working on getting there. Still working on accomplishing that. One of my things I always remind myself, my dad passed away about 6 years ago, and at the time he died, he was working on restoring an old car because he had always wanted to throughout his entire life. His brother had done it, and so he wanted to restore an old car. And finally, after he retired, he was starting to work on it. And I thought, well, that's kind of inspiring, right? That, like, it's sad and tragic that he passed away before finishing the car. But the good point is that, right, like, even up to that point, he was still, like, working on life goals. He was still trying to push and accomplish things that he had never done before, right? And we'll probably all be in that same position. My mom now, she's like almost 70, and she's like She started taking piano lessons a year ago. I was like, Mom, what are you doing taking piano lessons? I got to keep my mind active. I'm like, okay. So, yeah, if you want to, you can come to a 70-year-old concert, piano concert, listen to her play. Give, you know, yes. Yeah. Okay. Number 2, put energy into being likable. I think this is a bit of what Seth was talking about the guy who related with everybody. Put energy into being likable. If you're going to build relationships, it takes energy. That's one of the struggles with relationships is every action of building a relationship takes energy. And when we're already feeling tired from all the other stuff we have to do, it's hard to think like, okay, I'm going to put energy into this. But it's one of the things that helps us add and multiply. Put energy into being likable. Remember their names. Oh, I'm so bad at this. I'm the worst. Yeah. Also good, 24601. Is it 24601? No. Awesome. What's that? It's from a musical, Les Mis. Maybe. Yeah. How did she do it? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Right. Because that seems a bit strange. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, okay. In your mind. Okay. Yeah. Right. Okay. Got it. Got it. Okay. I know. Or just give them name tag. Yeah. Just have people wear name tags around. It takes energy. It takes work. It's a skill. I haven't invested the time necessary to become good at it. I do remember Jason's name, though. Got that one locked down. Um, so the other day, yeah, my wife's name is Brooke. The other day I was asking someone, who's that person's name? Brooke. You should remember. It wasn't my wife. I do remember her name. I was like, oh, I should be able to remember that one. But yeah. Focus on their interests is the next one. Everybody's favorite topic is themselves. This also helps with the first one when we're so hard on ourselves and we're like, I love it when people take pictures and everyone's like, oh, I look terrible in that picture. We got to retake it because I look terrible. Nobody else is looking at you in the picture anyway, right? Because they're all just looking at themselves, right? Go find a picture of you with like 10 other people. I guarantee you the first thing you do, find yourself. And then the second thing you typically do is make an assessment of how you look in that picture. And it's usually as compared with everybody else in the picture, right? It's like mentally damaging. First thing we do, find ourselves, find what's wrong with ourselves as compared with everybody else. And then we wonder why we don't feel great about ourselves, right? Because the first thing we do is we find a weakness in us that everybody else seems to be strong in. And everybody's doing it. Finding weakness in themselves, right? So when you think everyone's thinking about you, you're wrong. So what's rare is for someone that actually does, that seems to take an interest in other people's interests and opinion, right? Like one of your definitions of a successful leader was simply the fact that this guy could connect with and care about multiple people across multiple scopes of interest. Whether he probably wasn't interested in all of those things, but pretended to be. Yeah. Isn't that interesting that one of our definitions of success is someone who just cares enough? Request the help of others. It is a relationship rule, if we want to add and multiply the lives of other people, we have to ask for help. Vicki brought that up at the very beginning. Add value to people is the next one, which if you go to the next page, if you actually want to add value to people, there's a couple of things you have to do. You actually have to value people. Truly value people. I know, this is where we run into struggles, right? It's like, if you actually want to build people up, you actually have to care about building people up, turns out. And there's a great book, this whole concept of yet comes from a great book called Growth Mindset by Carol Dweck, D-W-E-C-K, if you're into that type of thing. It's really cool. She has, the book is broken down into different sections. One's about relationship, I think one's about parenting, one's about leadership. But it is the concept that the challenge for people who are trying to help other people grow is that if you don't view people as able to grow, then your leadership style changes drastically. If you view people with a fixed mindset, that this is who they are and they will likely never change, then you lead them differently. And so if you view yourself that way, right, this is who I am, this is who I'm going to be, this is who I always am, I'm never going to get any better, I'm just kind of this person with all of these faults and weaknesses and to heck with it. If that's how you view yourself and that's kind of how you view other people, your leadership is drastically impacted by that. So the first thing is allowing yourself, that's why you are the first thing, allowing yourself that freedom. But then how you view them is also interesting. Make ourselves more valuable. John brought that up, continues to learn. One of the ways that we add value to others is by adding more value to ourselves. Make ourselves more valuable and know and relate to what they value. So when we look at building leadership, okay, I want to build my team. I've got these teams maybe, right, these groups of 5 people who are going to work together. I've got to help those teams become more successful. Those 3 things right there. Value each individual person so that they're not feeling like they have to be in competition with the other people in that group, right? If I feel comfortable and confident that, oh, they value my contribution, then I'm a little less prone to have to try to prove that, right? I don't have to talk all the time about how I'm adding more value to other people because I have the sense that people understand that. People recognize that, right? So how do you recognize your top performers? Are there people in those groups that really are carrying more weight? If there's people really carrying more weight, help them feel valued for doing that. Make ourselves more valuable. That's what you're doing now, right? I'm going to lead those groups better by becoming a person of greater value and then know and relate to what they value. When we go back to that concept of, well, gosh, why, if there's division among those groups, why is that? What is it that they value that they're not quite getting yet? Because even if you broke the groups up, the same people would have to do the same work, right? The same people who are carrying a significant portion of the weight now would still have to carry a significant portion of the weight. So what is it that's kind of leading them, right? Figuring out what they value. Number 7 is follow the 101% principle. It's defined there, 101% principle. Find the 1% that you agree on and give it 100% of your effort. Even if you disagree with people 99% of the time, just find the area where you do agree. Love people more than opinions is number 8. That's a fun one. It's hard to have to be right all the time and have good relationships with people. Those 2 things tend to be mutually exclusive. If you feel the need to have to be right all the time, just count on not having great relationships in your life. Right? That's the trade-off you're going to have to make. Sometimes allowing people, right, to kind of flourish in their own opinion, even if you disagree with them, is important. Number 9, follow the golden rule. That's an easy one. And number 10, seek out resources to help you grow in relationship skills. Seek out resources to help you grow. Okay, we're going to take just a quick minute then. Look through number 9. Page 9 is your own relationships inventory. Give yourself a score, 1 to 5 on each of those. Oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks for stopping in. Thank you. Okay, so there are also some homework on the next couple of pages. There's a couple of thought questions. We're not going to take the time right now to go through it. Thought questions on page 10 that you can go back through in the next couple of days. Page 11 has some note section for you there. You just did your self-assessment on relationships, so maybe you're going to jot down an idea or two of what you would do over the next month based on where you feel you are in that self-assessment you just took. What are some actions that you might need to take to focus in on one of those areas? Okay. The next one, E, is equipping. So here's what I'd like you to do to start. I want you to think about 1 or 2 or more people within your organization. And what I'm assuming is that because we're leaders and we're talking about leadership, the underlying theme of leadership is that people are here and we would like them to get there. And don't look too deeply into the fact that that's like a downward spiral. Yeah. No. Okay. So they're there. I want them to get here. Right? Leadership is the art of how do I help that person get there. Right? Here's what I want you to think about. In terms of equipping them, what is the knowledge or tools that the 1 to 2 or more people in your organization need? What do they need they don't currently have that would get them from here to here? Does that make sense? I'd like you to jot it down. That's what I want you to start with. There's lots of kind of white space on your pages. Jot down an idea or two. What are knowledge or tools that your people will need to get from where they are to where you want them to be? Okay, now just kind of, you can go two people. I think there's even numbers now. So just two, 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 two. Talk with the person next to you and just talk through what is that for your group, the knowledge and tools they're going to need in order to get from where they are to where you'd like them to be. Take about a minute each. Share what that is. Okay, everybody got their thing they want to equip people with? This is where we're starting, right? So, to fill in those blanks, great leaders grow their vision from me to we, from me to we. From me to we. Exactly, W-I-I. Thank you, Seth, I appreciate that. Yeah, one is too small a number to do anything of any significance. Nothing great is accomplished by yourself. Did you have an example? Yeah, but not by itself. You're going to have dirt, water. Yeah, but I have. Now we're connecting. Now we're connecting. Kids' cartoons, yes. And the one poor little guy, he tried to do it all by himself and failed. I do love that movie, though. Yeah. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. We have some rules. Why people fail in equipping others. There's some basic concepts around why we don't do this as well as we want to, right? There are people who want to go, they want to go from here to there. You even know what it would take, right? What are the knowledge and tools? So if you already know that you have people that you want to have go from here to here, and you already know the knowledge and tools necessary to get them there, then we have to look and say, okay, if I haven't done it already, is there anything holding me back from equipping the people with the knowledge and tools I need to go from here to there, or am I just in the process? So let's look at what holds some people back. So what I've done is I've taken the words that actually go into the blanks, each of the 7 blanks, and I've written them down on one of these fun little boards over here. I'll give each partnership one of the words. Your job is to, as a team, decide which blank your word goes in. Does that make sense? What's that? We hate people. Yes, that is. That is. Actually, that's one of the words. Good. So you guys are done. You guys are done. Or maybe it's this one, control. We control people. Oh, sorry. Okay, we got it. First one, it's hard work. Yes, equipping others is hard work. Have you noticed that? Sounds like you guys are going through that right now. The hard work of equipping your teams with what they need. What did you guys identify as the knowledge and tools your guys' group needs? Oh. Hmm. Yeah, isn't that strange? Because didn't we say that the first thing that we have to lead is ourselves, and you have a whole group of people who are struggling with that, maybe, right? Huh. You are the biggest tool. Yeah. Yeah. They're just accessing their resources. Yeah. 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 Okay. But they haven't actually finished it? Huh. Well, you guys are in a fun position. What are you doing to solve that? Sure. That's awesome. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yes. Yeah. And even great. Even yeah, yeah, when they come to you, instilling belief in them, right? If they're coming to you because they don't believe they can find the right answer, instilling that belief in them. Dustin talked about that earlier, giving them some small wins, things that build confidence. Yeah. James, you were raising your hand about that? What? Oh, okay. I've heard of that. Heard of that. But I will. I mean, I think I started saying genres. Yeah, I was giving you. Yeah. Here's the funny thing. You were correct. I couldn't quote a Tool song if my life depended on it. So I know they are a band that exists, but I don't know a single song they play. So you can? We need to go to lunch. Yeah, I know. Sonic. Oh, good. Huh. So it's not Eminem. No. No. Okay. Okay. James, okay. Number two is not we hate people. It's also not control. Who has control? It's not. You guys were not number two. We control people, or we habit people. No, it's yeah. We underestimate people. We underestimate people. All right. Number three, we Enjoy. Yeah, sometimes we don't equip other people to do things because we kind of like doing it ourselves. I know. Easier, takes less time, it's going to get done right. Yeah, this is the pits. If I like doing it, it's easier for me just to do it, and I know it's going to get done right. Why would I even bother to equip somebody else to be able to do it? That's true. That's true. Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah. James, yeah, now you, I mean, hmm, nobody else could do it. Yeah, yeah. All right. Yeah, we equip others to do it so that they can do it and we can go on to equipping more people to do more things. Yeah, growth is always a good thing. Although it's true, you may grow yourself right out of your current position. And you have to be, I guess, um, comfortable that that's a good thing. Yeah, yeah. Okay, number 4, we receive ego strength from being needed, right? Yeah, ego strength from being needed. Glad you guys could read my handwriting. That was a tough one. Squeeze that in there. Yeah, not my, yeah, yeah. So we don't equip others to do it because if somebody else can do it, then maybe they get the accolades for having done it. Number 5, we're in the habit of doing everything. Change is hard, turns out. Breaking habits is hard. That's another fun book, Power of Habit, Charles Duhigg. Interesting book. Turns out, according to him and in the research, you never actually do uh, um, completely extinguish habits. That once something is a habit, it's always, always, always there. The only thing you can do is replace it with a different behavior. Which is why, when we get bored, we tend to fall back into similar habits of what we've always done when we're bored because we haven't replaced it with something else. That's why busy people are successful, because they're in the habit of being busy. Most successful people are the successful people because that's what their habit is. Although, it doesn't mean that you always have to be doing something. Anyway, not going to go down that path. Yeah, there's significant value in resting and taking breaks, but intentionally. Number 6, control. Yeah, we like to keep control. We don't equip other people because that's losing control. And number 7, around. Yes, we don't notice the leadership potential in those around us, right? Okay, so then the next page is your inventory on equipping. We're going to skip that for just a second and go to the next one. But this is what I want you to be thinking of. Which of these things might be holding me back in my efforts to get people from where they are to where they want to be? Do I fall into any one of those things? Okay, let's go ahead and do these. Now's a good time. Yeah. Next page. Assess for yourself then. Sorry. We are on page 15, I believe. Oh, did she renumber them? She did. Wow, she's so good at this. Yeah, 13. Yeah. Yeah, the equipping inventory. I send Barb over a document. She removes a few of the pages that are unnecessary, and then she goes back and renumbers them. That's amazing. Highly skilled. Okay. Anybody want to openly discuss one area where they think they want to put some area of improvement? One of those things that you're looking at and saying, this may be for me personally why I'm not equipping people as well as I could? Great. That's a hard one to overcome. Yeah. And I guess it's interesting because then you have to decide, right? A lot of people get into management who don't want to be there. They just get into management because they think it pays more. Right? I just took this management promotion because it paid more money. Well, if you really, really like doing the job you're doing, you have to assess how much that's worth, right? I just love what I do on a daily basis. Great, you should go do that. And if you really, really like doing the task, maybe you don't have other people who do it. Or, I don't know. That's a tough one, right? You have to figure out what your career path is if that's what you really like doing. Yeah. Yeah. Can't mess that up. Yeah. That's a tough one. Yeah. That's a hard one. Yeah. Yeah. Which, this is always an easy answer for people like me who aren't in your organization, but it reminds me of what Dustin said earlier because then it becomes a personnel issue. If I look around my team, I don't have one person on my team that I would trust doing that work, then I have to think, do I have the right team? Yeah, you should. No, HR. There's nobody in HR here, right? We've established. It's not even HR's fault? Oh, well, who do we blame if it's not HR? They sit in, but your supervisor, so your boss makes the hiring decision? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Right. Who's going to handle your retirement checks properly? Yeah. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, this is tough. Jason, you were. Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. We get into the habit of doing it. Okay. Good. Good. Some areas of focus and conversation. Okay. Let's quickly go through then a couple of teamwork laws, which is your next page. The law of significance is what's there. James and I already discussed this one with you. One is too small a number to achieve greatness. And the next one is the law of Mount Everest. The law of Mount Everest is the challenge escalates, the need for teamwork elevates. The law of Mount Everest. Climbing small mountains is not as much of a need for teamwork, right? You can go out and hike to the top of Table Rock by yourself. If you want to climb a more challenging mountain, you'll need a greater team. So, right, I mean, Vicki, and that may be what you're talking about, right? Like, you guys are climbing a really tall mountain. The need for teamwork becomes much more significant the harder and more challenging the problem becomes. So, This law is about gathering and growing a team to accomplish something big. Gathering and growing. Which is interesting, right? Because the law of Mount Everest, we know the name of the guy, Sir Edmund Hillary, the first guy that made it to the top of Mount Everest that we know of. And less well known is his little Sherpa guy who he couldn't have done it without it. Yeah. Can't remember that guy's name. Nope. Thank you. And his Sherpa. Yeah. Yeah. What was the Sherpa's name? Yes, that's it. Yeah, and apparently couldn't run a camera. Edmund Hillary wanted him to take a picture once they got to the top, and he'd never even seen a camera before, so had a problem. Okay, 3 Mount Everest questions. What is my dream? What could be? Who is on my team? What is? And what should my dream team look like? Right? So my dream is gosh, what could be? What could we get? How could things, wouldn't it be great if? What's my reality? What's my team? But then what would my dream team look like? Which goes back one step, right? I've then got to gather and grow the team around me. Which, unfortunately, in organizations, in order to gather, there usually has to be an empty seat created, right? That's the challenge. But, yeah, anyway, the resourcing side is always such a challenge. Okay, good. And then there's some questions for you to ask and some note pages for you there, and we will, that's kind of your homework. Okay, how's everybody feeling? Do we need... Everybody need to stand up, take a quick break? Okay, 10 minutes. James, love the decision making. Yeah. Back in 10 minutes. Hidden Figures? Must have been somebody else. Oh, is it the Hacksaw Ridge? Huh. I read a book that referenced the experience that Hacksaw Ridge is about, and I was like, okay, I don't think I need to see the movie. I don't do blood and gore. It's about the medic who keeps going up the mountain and pulling people down and goes back up in the end of World War II, right? Yes. Yeah, because he was a pacifist or whatever and refused to carry a gun, and they tried to kick him out of the military, right? They tried to get him to take a discharge for like mental, yeah, and he wouldn't do it, and then yeah. How did he not know sowing the seeds? Unbelievable. That's true. Maybe before his time. I work at Sensi doing field development is what we call it. Working with all of our salespeople, yeah. Oh, fun. Yeah. Oh, yeah. What do you want to do? Yeah. Oh, we're hiring for that right now. Uh huh. Yep. We had a gal who was remote out of Ohio that left to go to a different company, so they're backfilling her position, and that's what it. Yeah. Huh. Yeah. Well, I'm reading three, the biography of John Adams. That's so long, it's kind of boring. I know. Oh, yeah. I'm reading a. So that one, I'm just muddling. I still have a long ways to go on that one. Book called Decisive by Chip and Dan Heath about how to make better decisions. That one's pretty good. I like them. And then I just picked up this Don't Sweat the Small Stuff because it's kind of light, when I don't want to have to think. But then I got challenged by one of our salespeople to learn Spanish. So I was like, okay. Get you through. So I picked up a set of CDs from my library. So I've been listening much more to, and then spending my what would be my reading time with a couple of apps. Duolingo, it's called. Um, well, you learn the things they teach you. So yeah, so like I can talk about the verbs that I've learned so far, which is comen, which is to eat, and be, yep. So I can talk about those, and le, which is to read, and um, it's interesting. The app doesn't. So like it just throws out como or comes or comen, and you're supposed to memorize you eat, they eat, comemos. But it didn't tell me the um, reasoning behind it. The CDs did, and I was like, oh, these all follow a similar pattern. That would have been good to know. Oh, the irregular ones, yeah. You are to go, right? They, vas. If I can do training in Spanish, she wants me to do training for her team. She's got a big team in Mexico. She wants me to train her team without being translated. So I told her 5 years. No. Well, she speaks Spanish, and we have a guy down there. She just doesn't like him. We need you to come and. I said, well, give me 5 years. I learned a language once before, or I figure. The problem is it's hard to learn it without speaking it. I know, that's what I need to do. There's a lady at work that's from Mexico, and I was like, you need to just talk to me in nothing but Spanish. Hi, this is Jason. Hey, fantastic. How are you? Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. I just put you on speaker to look up my schedule. What day and time are you looking at?
So we have Wednesday at 2,
Okay.
and we could also do like a 3, or Thursday's pretty open as well.
Yeah, I can do Wednesday at 2.
Perfect. So
That's the best time.
do you have FaceTime, or if not, we can do like a Zoom meeting.
I use both quite regularly,
Okay.
so either one is fine.
Perfect. Perfect. And is it just this phone number that's for your FaceTime?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So what we'll plan on having Lori FaceTime you on Wednesday at 2 p.m. I'll
Okay.
just send you a confirmation of that. Um, if you want to come walk around the office and see what we do, I'm happy to can still give you a tour tomorrow if you want to come by. But that's totally up to you.
Could I maybe do it earlier?
Yeah, tomorrow?
Yeah, because that was um, my the one. Uh, I couldn't buy, yeah, and people are like, you like candy so much, why don't you have a candy dish at your desk? I'm like, this is why I can't have a candy dish at my desk. The only thing that stops me from eating more is that I have to take 4 steps that way to get to it. Yeah, I don't know, anybody in here not one of those people that's like, candy, sugar, whatever, I'm okay? Really? How? Hmm. Yeah. Well, I like ice cream. I like pie. Yeah, I know. Yeah. That too. Bring it all. What's that? Biscotti? Yeah. I know. Yeah. I don't know. Did anybody else smells weird all of a sudden? Is that just me? Did you do that? Whatever. Whatever. Okay. All right. Now, what's interesting, right, is as I was listening to your list and as you were writing it up on the board, I was thinking ahead already because I knew we were getting to this about how much of these definitions that you came up with of successful leaders have to do with their attitude. Right? A lot of these are attitude-focused areas. Right? So much of building a great team and being a solid leader has to do with our attitude. And it's a challenge because the culture and attitude of the organization is often defined by the leader. I guess I got to be slightly careful because I think everybody knows where I work. But where I work during my off hours from LeapFox, during my off LeapFox hours where I work, we had a leader. She doesn't work there anymore, and her style was just like totally frantic. And the whole organization then became totally frantic. We were running from one thing to the other, and we couldn't stay. It was crazy. Now she's gone. And yeah, it was incredible the sudden like peace that distilled over the entire organization, just literally like 2 days after she was gone. And she's off to another company, and we're hoping the best for them. So attitude is important, right? So. No, it's in Florida. It's a company in Florida. Anyway. Okay, so psychologists have found when people are appraised for promotion, company executives look at a person's, number 1 is ambition, number 2 is skills. You guys talked about this a little bit, right? Like, I just want someone who's ambitious. I want someone who is driven. And Dustin, you were saying that earlier, right? The way they answer the questions is important. Number 3, attitude toward the company. Number 4, attitude toward people. And number 5, attitude toward excessive demands on time and energy. So yeah, skills and ambition are important. And from there, it becomes an attitude concept, right? That we are lifted through our attitude, and those around us, we're looking for people with that same drive. Okay, so at the bottom of the next page, what I have discovered about our attitude is a choice. I am at bottom of page 19. Yep, and then we'll do the inventory there. Our attitude is a choice, which, yeah. Sometimes other people choose my attitude for. Yeah. Which goes back to what we talked about earlier about who the type of people we surround ourselves with, right? Are we surrounding ourselves with people that make that attitude easier, or are we surrounding ourselves with people that make it hard for us to make that choice? Because there is a reality of choice fatigue, right? You wear yourself out. It's why I'm convinced this is true, because anybody else like late night eater? Yeah, okay, so yeah, like nobody else, just me and Seth? Oh, Curtis, good, Justin, okay, good, right? Like, I swear, I'll eat good like all day long, but and they've done studies about this, right? Your willpower and your resistance to things diminishes throughout the day, right? And so at night, you've just used every ounce of energy you had to not eat chips and salsa, and you're like, to heck with it. I know, chips and salsa are the best. And barbecue potato chips and sour cream is a close second. If you haven't tried, oh my gosh. Right? But you use up that energy. And so when we say our attitude is a choice, it's true. The longer we have to struggle to maintain that good attitude because of circumstances or people around us, the harder it becomes to maintain that. Right? And so making sure that we put ourselves in an environment where it's easier to make that choice is important. Our attitude determines our approach to life. They've done research on this. You know what's the most kind of fascinatingly sick side of that one is Facebook. Facebook does like psychological research on this where because Facebook tells you, right, Facebook controls your whole life depending on how much time you spend on it, right? Because Facebook determines what you see. You don't see everything that all of your friends post all the time, right? Yeah. Yeah. But Facebook can control that too because so Facebook has actually done research on this of presenting people with more negative things in their newsfeed than positive things in their newsfeed, and then watching their own posts. Right? And so the more negative things that you see in the newsfeed, the more likely you are to then talk negatively. And the more positive things you see in your newsfeed, the more likely you are to. Although, yes, my wife tells me all the time, she's like, we got to go on vacation. Everyone's on vacation all the time. I'm like, stop looking at Facebook. Trust me, everyone's not on vacation all the time. You just see. And yeah, I'll never forget this day. We had really what turned out to be an absolutely crappy Valentine's Day a couple of years ago. Not my wife and I, but the whole family. We had this fun family togetherness, and then it. But the pictures my wife posted were of the fun family togetherness. So like over the next couple of days, people were like, wow, it looked like you had a great Valentine's. No, it was awful. It was one of the worst days of my life. And yet, what she posted on Facebook was like, and then before the, yeah. So, but, yeah, no. Or they do that like, yeah. So, but some people do, right? Like that's, like you'll see the post like, this is the worst day of my entire life ever, and then they never say anything. So that's just to get a bunch of comments. Yeah. Yeah. First world problems. And number 3, our attitude can turn our problems into blessings. This is an interesting concept, right? That this idea that for everything that happens, there are multiple ways of viewing every experience. There's not just one way to view it. Okay, so quickly do the evaluation, the attitude inventory there above on page 19. Sorry. For those of you that flip the page, I apologize. So quickly do the attitude inventory.